Hi, everybody. I'm super excited today to have one of my favorite people in the world on the show, my stepmother, Rhonda Fry. We were very lucky after the tragic passing of my mother that my father was able to meet Rhonda, and they got married in the late or mid 90s, actually, and they've been together ever since. She's the second best woman I've ever met to my mother, which is pretty amazing, or pretty lucky. We lucked out twice. And she just never stops doing amazing things. She was an incredible teacher, loves literature, loves to show how literature can reflect on life. The Alchemist is one of her favorite books ever, and kind of altered her life. And then she used that to change so many other people's lives. And then she just recently wrote a book, and I just want to have her on and have her explain how she got there, what she did, all the effort in, and how she can tell us all about Susie. So uh, I'd like to welcome Rhonda.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Mark. I feel very humbled, and I am very fortunate to be a part of this family, and I'm grateful every day for all that
Well,
you guys bring to me.
uh,
Oh,
uh,
anyway. Yeah, well,
so
yeah,
yeah, let's just get into it.
get into it. Well, I'll show you the book first of all. The book is Finding Susie, and it all started, I guess, a few decades ago. I had started writing short stories of my experiences with spirit or the mysteries of the universe. And it's funny that some of them happened when I was very young, yet they still have this indelible ink imprinted on my brain. The details and everything that I remember surrounding each event is still very clear. I can't tell you what I had for supper last night, but these experiences are something different. Their impact is great. So I would sit down at various times over the last couple of decades, actually, and write the details of each of those events. My plan was to put them together in a little anthology and present them to my grandchildren. Uh, the purpose for that is for them to see another side of Nanny, although a couple of them have some glimpses of that side of me, that spiritual side of me, but also to awaken them to the journey that they are on, and as all of us are. So the collection was completed to a point, and I was getting closer to thinking about manifesting the booklet for them. And I started on a writing course. And in one of the classes, we were asked to develop a character unlike yourself. So I chose an introvert and developed her character and liked where it was going. And the writing teacher said, that could potentially work into a novel around this character. And then I had this light bulb come on because I always knew I wanted to write, thinking it was for children or teens. And I thought, well, if I marry the stories of my spiritual experiences with this character, Susie, I think I can take this somewhere. And hence, that was a way also I could present my stories and build an awareness in my readers of the spiritual journey that I've been on and that we are all on. We're just not always awake to what's happening around us all the time.
So I've read the book. I read it like in a day and a half, and Krista read it, and lots of people are reading it. It's a great story. Pam read it, loved it. It's excellent, and I read a lot. And I was really relieved that it was good, because I was so terrified that it was like, oh God, what happens if it's bad?
I was terrified too, putting it out there.
A good friend of mine made a movie once, and I remember going to it going like, oh my God, I hope this isn't awful. And it wasn't, thank God. And your
I,
book was very, very good. And I don't know how you would ever tell someone, actually, if their book was bad. I read one recently, and it was bad. And then I talked to a friend of mine who also wrote a book, and she said, just don't tell, like, just don't tell them. Just
Yeah.
let it be. So
Yeah.
luckily you didn't have that. I didn't have that situation. It's a good story. It's a great story. And I look forward to the next one.
Thank you.
So 2 points, questions that I like to kind of pull out of that. The first one, the book isn't like, I've been meditating for 20 years. I've got a spiritual teacher from India. I've got a guru, and like, I get spirituality, and some people can take it really wonky, like really make it woo woo. And, there's all the different paths, so what the book wasn't really woo woo. There's spirituality into it, but it's not woo woo. So how did you do that? Like, to make it so it's there, the seeds are there for the grandchildren and other people, but it's not like, you're just using the book as a cover to get them to, at the very end, to be like, do this because I did it and it's amazing. It's so how did that come about?
That was actually intentional. I wanted to, if somebody was unaware of a potential, the journey they're on, I didn't want to dive too deeply into all kinds of aspects of spirituality. And I stuck to kind of the lighter side of things. The twist at the end of the novel was a little bit deeper. I kind of went out on a ledge there. That was not a personal experience of mine. There were 2 in the book that weren't, because I needed that for some plot development. But yeah, I was careful with that. Novel number 2 is going to get a little more deeply involved, and I will bring in other areas of spirituality. I'm going to be working with near-death experience of a character. There will be the recognition of angel numbers, so some new signs that are around us all the time. So yeah, that was an intentional beginning for me with this novel.
Okay. And so the next one is, I read the book in about, I don't know, 9 hours, about.
Yeah.
And I was laughing to myself because I'm pretty sure the amount of hours to write it was more than 9. So two questions. One, how much labor was in it? What was involved, and why in God's name? Well, first let's start there. How much was it? How much effort? And what did it take to get that book into readers' hands? How to get it on Amazon?
Yep.
How did it get it people's hands? How did you do that?
It was a 2-year writing process. I didn't write every single day. Some days I'd write for an hour or 2. Other days I'd write for 5 or 6. So I didn't have a specific time of day. I grabbed the time when I could and went with it. Writing the book, I create a huge map first and draw it out. Each character, the trajectory of where they will go in the novel, how they connect to the other characters through the themes and events, situations, lessons to be learned. So fitting that all together like a puzzle, I thought this is going to be impossible. But I have to say that it flowed through me. And it was almost like I had a spiritual nudges along the way writing this book. I didn't think twice about who the characters' names were. They're nobody that I know specifically in this life. The names just came out. In fact, when I picked the name for Susie and her mother Lily, after writing the book, I just researched the meanings of some of the names, and Susie means lily. So I just have goosebumps telling you that right now.
Right.
I feel like there were nudges along the way that just channeled this energy through me to the written page. It just came about. After the first draft was completed, I had 3 beta readers take the original manuscript, go through it, and give suggestions, make any changes they wanted to. And the first person that called me said she was finished. I was so nervous to pick up that phone. I was scared to death, actually. And she said, Rhonda, I loved it. It was a page turner. I could not put it down. I didn't move from my chair until I finished it. Well, I can't tell you what that felt like, because, putting yourself out there publicly for judgment is fearful.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the others, our Pam was another one, and she was quite taken with the book, and another lady in my reading group here at the building. So that next stage was encouraging. I then took the time with a friend of mine, and we read every word together and went through editing and changing and laughing and fixing and revamping what needed to be revamped. And that was an excellent experience, that revision. And then the big decision, do I invest money in a partnership with a publishing company whom I really enjoyed speaking with the publishers of that company, and I think they offer a wonderful product, or do I go with the self-publishing through Kindle? So I couldn't make up my mind. So I went across the street to a spiritual expo and had 4 readings. Every reading was on the same wavelength. These are your words. It is ready to go now. The words are as they should be and should not be changed. That was a consistent message. So I went home and called our local publishing company who does that process for you, helps with the process. And, in a month or so, the book was in the hands of Amazon and in my hands too for selling.
Excellent. And so what's I guess, the 3 things that you like the most and the one thing you could go back and change if you could?
Oh, good questions. I loved the twist at the end. I don't know where that came from, but I was proud of that when I wrote it. It wasn't a preliminary plan. It kind of evolved as I was writing, and it just hit me. So that's one piece I'm proud of. I guess I like kind of the trajectory of Francine and Susie's relationship building. One of my themes was men and women can have friendships and platonic relationships. And Francine was a jealous friend. They had she had a fiance, and Susie was very good friends with him, but not any love interest at all. And I wanted them to sort through this dilemma before the discovery at the end of the book, because I didn't want to make an excuse for Francine accepting Susie in the end. Or even, it wasn't the end, it was partway through the book. I might be saying too much, but that was one theme that I wanted to put out there, because that was part of me. It's one of my beliefs. I've had lots of male friends over the years and great friends. What else? That was 2. I guess what I struggled with and am proud of is writing about a character that is not like me, even though aspects of her are me. But starting off with that introversion kind of behavior was challenging, and I loved that. I love a challenge. What would I change? I don't know. I might expand a little more on Wilma the cat. That's pretty minor.
That's excellent. So then, for someone that's listening to this, that's thinking, I want to write a book. Like, that sounds cool. What would you say to them? I'm sure people have asked you, at book signings, and they've messaged you like, that sounds cool. You did it. I am so happy I helped. Good for you. And then what about me? How about me? What do you have to say to me?
I guess for me, I struggled with, and what would be a potential audience for me? What would be my topic? I always kind of had a bit of a spiritual theme in mind, but couldn't really make the decisions around who, what exactly. And I guess involving myself with other like-minded people, like a community,
Mm-hmm.
and, getting comfortable with the writing process, and looking at the potential of how you can manipulate words and what have you to make some neat impacts. So I would recommend, if you're not feeling confident, to take that route and join a writing group and have fun sharing your pieces and learning, different strategies. And then, for me, that worked. And then, again, the light bulb came on when I married the two different concepts. And, my recommendation would be read, 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 read. Pay attention to the author's style, sentence lengths. What impacted you? What made you emotional? Just watch for that. Books are our mentors for writers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of a little bit of a kickstart.
Okay, so speaking of books, do you want to give a a brief review of your relationship with The Alchemist?
Oh,
Just to, I know. Just a brief,
love it.
just so people understand when you say
Oh,
this
it's
isn't like you're not just saying like pick a couple books up, read a few pages. Like explain like your love of books and your love of The Alchemist. The Alchemist is the one that I would think
yeah.
that's I think we all have a copy because of you and read it
Mm-hmm.
multiple times because of you. But
Mm-hmm.
just so it's not like some oh, I'll just read a few books and then it's not like that. You like reading, you love reading.
Yeah, that book has made the biggest impact on my life. And the way it came about was definitely orchestrated by the universe, the way I discovered the book. And in fact, it's a story in the novel
Mm-hmm.
of how Susie's teacher discovered the novel, but that was my story. It's a gift. And, as you guys know, you've been gifted the book. My grandchildren received the book and Nanny's favorite quotes for graduation day from grade 12. So I have a package that I put together for them. The teacher's still there in me. And I guess the concepts of the universe conspiring to make things happen just connected with me because I've had so many experiences, messages, signs that were connected that led me on a path. And you still have the opportunity to make all the decisions in the world. They can alter your path, but ultimately, you're on the path that you're supposed to be on. And I just loved learning about the signs and the messages in this book. The book is actually a fable. You have no idea when the setting is, when the book takes place. It's kind of just universal and timeless. So I love that about the book. And I think Paulo Coelho had some amazing insights to a lot of what I've come to believe, and because of things that have happened to me that connect to what happened to Santiago in the book.
So Susie is a great book. Finding Susie is a great book. So if someone wants to pick it up after hearing this, where can they pick it up?
Yeah, they can pick it up at Amazon.ca. It is also in EPUB. People have asked about an audiobook, haven't gone there yet, but would consider it maybe someday. And I've been attending lots of vendor fairs and selling the book at those events, and it's been really successful, really exciting.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks so much for the time today, Rhonda. The book's incredible. You're more incredible, and love you lots. And thanks for the time. And anyone listening, pick up Finding Susie. You'll love it. Have a great one.
Thank you, Mark. Love you big time. Thanks for the opportunity, honey.